especially from the Prime Minister and his office, we want to have a closer liaison. We have probably one of the most deepest, strongest relationship between China and Pakistan. But the interaction between our medias, our cultural interaction is not as good as a political relationship. So this idea, meeting today, is basically to improve this interaction. I especially want to take this occasion to congratulate China and the Communist Party. I think on its 100th, it is the anniversary of the CPC. Also, in Pakistan, we admire President Xi Jinping as one of the great statesmen of the modern world. We have admiration for him in Pakistan for two particular reasons. One, his commitment to fight corruption. The commitment that a society there must be rule of law in a society. In other words, the powerful must be brought under the law. And corruption is, when it destroys a country, it is when there is a corrupt elite which does not bring itself under the rule of law, and they are the ones who do the maximum damage. So I have watched the corruption drive, anti-corruption drive of President Xi Jinping, and we here in Pakistan are very impressed by the way he has so many high-level officials, ministerial-level people have been held accountable for their corruption. Secondly, and the most remarkable thing about China, which we all admire, is that the way they have brought so many millions of people out of poverty. The figure we are told is almost 700 million people have been brought out of poverty in the last 6-7 years. And recently, China announced that China has finally eliminated extreme poverty. So this is, I think, one of the most remarkable achievements of any human society. I don't think there is any precedent in history of a society achieving these great goals. And the third thing is that we in Pakistan are committed to strengthen our relationship with China politically, as well as in terms of economy and trade. CPEC is a flagship program in the BRI, and for Pakistan it is one of a program which gives us the greatest optimism and hope for our future economic development. And we have a high-level committee now to follow the CPEC projects. I'm going to Gwadar next week to oversee the projects, the pace which they are moving on, and to make sure that we meet our timelines. And then I'm hoping, yes, meeting the Chinese labor, who are working here, and yes, talk to them, interact with them. But also, I look forward to my trip to China, which is in the offing in the next month, 2 months, and to further strengthen both our political ties and our economic ties. Please go ahead.
So, as Your Highness just say, that in 2020, the Communist Party already make a huge success in helping its people eliminate poverty. Also, it helps the country to navigate its people throughout the pandemic while achieve the positive GDP growth. So the CPC is continually using its people-centered policy, so towards its people and towards governing this country. So how do you comment on this people-centered policy, and how do you think is CPC's role in the development of China?
You see, the CPC is a unique model Until now, we were told that the best way of societies improving themselves is the Western system of democracy. And we were told that that is the best way of progress of a society. But what the CPC has done is that it has brought this alternate model, and they have achieved, they have actually beaten all Western democracies in the way they have brought up merit in the society. You see, what is remarkable, a society succeeds if that society has systems which bring two things forward: meritocracy and accountability. Accountability of the ruling elite, which means a transparent system, which is very important for progress, and secondly, which brings up merit in a society. So until now, the feeling was that democracy is electoral democracy is the best way where you get merit, leadership based on merit, and then hold that leadership accountable. But what CPC has done is that without that electoral democracy, it has actually achieved that and much better. What I saw in China when I visited the Communist Party headquarters and when they gave us briefings, their system of sifting talent and then grooming it and bringing it up, for me, is probably more remarkable than any democratic electoral democracy does not bring up that sort of meritocracy or can hold people accountable. And third thing is that it's a very flexible system. You know, when they want to change something, that system allows them to bring a change. In our society, for instance in Pakistan, even in Western democracies, it's very difficult to bring change in a system because you're stuck in so many regulations, and democracy straitjackets you. So you cannot always do what is the best for the society because of all the impediments in our system. Whereas I find that in the greatness of the way China has improved so quickly is because they make changes very quickly. They feel that something is not working, they change it. The system allows them to change. And fourthly, of course, the long-term planning. They plan so far ahead. Sometimes in a democracy, you only, I mean in an electoral democracy, you only look for the next 5 years and it contradicts long-term planning.
Hi, Prime Minister. Very grateful. Thank you for hosting this meeting online. I'm Lucian from China TV. And I got a question. It's been 7 years since China and Pakistan established the diplomatic relationship as well as the friendship between those two. So among all the projects that the two sides have worked on, where do you see the future development direction and the cooperation direction of the China-Pakistan economic corridor, and which areas could be the focus points in the next few years? And how do you think of the importance of such cooperation for both countries? Thank you.
Yes, thank you. You see, for me, where I see this relationship moving ahead, and I mean the economic relationship, because there is the political relationship, which is also very strong and moving ahead. But purely the economic relationship, I see the next phase of CPAC. And the next phase is for Pakistan, which is very exciting. We have these special economic zones, and we hope that we hope to attract Chinese industry into these special economic zones by giving them incentives, because in Pakistan the labor is much cheaper than in China, so we hope to attract that industry which will benefit from our cheaper labor. And secondly, where we really want help from China, and we're already working on it, is agriculture. Because in China, the productivity, your agricultural productivity is much higher than Pakistan. Pakistan is basically an agricultural country. And we haven't really concentrated so much on our agriculture to improve our productivity. So this is the second phase, because almost half our population lives off agriculture. And therefore, we hope that we can really benefit from the latest techniques in agriculture from China.
So, Your Highness, my second question is related to the first one. I think you just made a great insight about the Communist Party's way of socialism democracy and also the Western-style electoral democracy. So my second question is, how do you view the leadership style of Xi Jinping as the core of the CPC party? What kind of image do you think he creates on the international stage?
You see, President Xi Jinping, when I spoke to him, and Premier Li, what struck me was that the process which they have come through to become the Prime Minister and the President, they started work 30 years ago, and they started working right from the canton, the real village level. And from there, they worked all the way up. They went through all the processes. So really, it's that long struggle which is what makes a leader. And that sort of process is not prevalent in most of the countries that claim to have electoral democracy. You do not have that sort of process. So you look at the American president, he does not go through that sort of rigorous training for leadership like President Xi Jinping and Premier Li, and the way they work themselves up and the experience they got all the way from village and then to the province and higher levels. So when they get to the top, they are experienced. They completely understand the system. They understand how people live at the bottom. And which is why they have been able to, create this wonder of bringing so many millions of people out of poverty. So this is something quite unique for China. You do not see that in any other democratic system.
What about their image on the international stage?
I think, leave alone the rivalry now between America and China, this economic rivalry. But I can tell you that the world, no matter whatever they think of China, because there's a fear of China's economic dominance now. But apart from that, everyone has to admire what President Xi Jinping has done. His achievements, you see, leaders' achievements speak for themselves. And that's what President Xi Jinping has proved to the world.
Your Excellency, how do you comment on the aid programs provided by China to Pakistan, including vaccine, infrastructure, vocational training, and in other social livelihood sectors?
I think, first of all, the way China dealt with COVID was unique. I mean, considering that this pandemic started in China, the way China coped with it, and then when you look at the rest of the world, China really stands out in the way they dealt with this pandemic. And we are very thankful to China because, the way they helped us, the way they donated the vaccine to us. And really, Pakistan is after China, Pakistan is one of those countries which has actually done very well in the way that we dealt with the pandemic, the way which we coped with it. So Pakistan stands out, in this whole region. And one of the reasons is that China provided us the vaccine very early on, and where we immediately vaccinated the health workers. The first thing.